Justin Bieber is undeniably one of the biggest pop stars of this generation. He has had countless major hits since the start of his career back in 2009. In 2021, he became the first artist to surpass 90 million monthly listeners on Spotify. He is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with estimated units of over 150 million records worldwide. He has also had 8 albums reach the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 album chart. And honestly, I could go on like this all day, but you get the point. However, with massive success comes an even bigger price. Despite his young age, the fame, fortune, and pressure brought along a burden too heavy for anyone to carry alone. The problems started piling up, and over time they led to a substantial decline in his career. Yet, the people around him, those who were supposed to guide and protect him, stood by and watched as his career nosedived. This is the story of how greed, poor parenting, substance abuse, and exploitation destroyed Justin Bieber's career. After Justin was discovered by Scooter Braun and Usher and officially started working with them, he went on to release one major project every year in the years that followed. An EP, My World, in 2009, his first full album, My World 2.0, in 2010, Under the Mistletoe in 2011, Believe in 2012, and Journals in 2013. In addition to releasing all those projects, Justin was constantly on the move, touring around the world, performing at countless shows. However, he soon faced one of the biggest challenges that most young stars encounter in the industry. He was being overworked. Although he was being pushed to his limits, his relentless hard work brought him immense fame and wealth at an early age, a combination that would later prove to be disastrous. Since Justin was still in his teenage years and experiencing the natural process of growth, he did many of the same things other kids his age were doing. But for Justin, there were 2 exceptions. 1, a huge bank account, which allowed him to do even crazier things. And 2, unfortunately for him, most of his life was recorded, as the paparazzi followed him from town to town, publishing whatever bad news they could find about him. This relentless coverage led to him being labeled as a spoiled brat. This constant scrutiny left him overwhelmed and made him feel unloved due to the way he was portrayed in the media. At his lowest, Justin recalled experiencing suicidal thoughts during these years. I think that there was times where I was really suicidal, like, man, is this pain ever gonna go away? It was so consistent. The pain was so consistent. I was just suffering, so I was just like, man, I would rather not feel this than feel this. In 2013, after joking on a radio show that he was retiring from music, it was announced that Justin was taking a break from music for the entire year of 2014.
I'm retiring, man.
No.
I'm retiring, yeah.
Oh no, he said in the interview, he's kidding 2 seconds later. Next year he's taking a break just to make music and relax, take some time to himself, and first time since he was 12.
And the reason for the break? He wanted to get some rest, and also importantly, to change his musical direction to attract a broader audience.
Quit music, but you're going in a different music direction.
But trust me, that 1-year break didn't go as planned. While Bieber was stepping away from the spotlight, the paparazzi were not. They weren't about to let their biggest headline maker just disappear. Everything he did outside of music became front-page news, and unfortunately, he was trending for all the wrong reasons. From drag racing, to driving under the influence, to egging a neighbor's house, and even attacking a limousine driver in Canada, and all of this happened in just 1 month, January 2014. It was absolute chaos. His year felt like it would never end, and 2014 became his peak year for battles with the paparazzi and the media, especially since he wasn't releasing music to counteract the bad press.
In the morning, authorities were pulling him out of a car. Miami Beach police say they spotted this rented yellow Lamborghini and a red Ferrari drag racing.
I'm growing up, I'm becoming a man, I'm maturing, my fans are growing with me.
But it was not always so easy. There were the tantrums, the scuffles with paparazzi, the traffic stops, Justin Bieber urinating into a bucket, Justin Bieber leaving a notorious brothel in Rio de Janeiro, Justin Bieber painting graffiti on the side of a building. And just this month, he was accused of egging this house, causing $20,000 in damage.
At the time, everyone was quick to criticize Justin for everything that was happening around him, calling him a spoiled kid, but nobody sympathized with him or even attempted to understand where all of that was coming from. But behind the scenes, Justin was struggling with substance abuse. I started doing pretty heavy drugs at 19 and abused all my relationships. I became resentful, disrespectful to women, and angry. I became distant from everyone who loved me, and I was hiding behind a shell of the person I had become. I felt like I could never turn it around. He stated, "It's not uncommon for young stars who face fame at an early age to turn to substance use, especially when the people around them keep them in constant supply. But for Justin, it was even worse. His own mother was involved." After he was arrested on a DUI case in 2014, TMZ reported that Justin was asked what substances he had taken that night. He admitted to consuming prescription meds, alcohol, and weed. When asked specifically about the prescription meds, he revealed that he had taken anti-anxiety drugs such as Xanax. This aligned with the police raid at his home, which had happened earlier in the same month, where authorities had discovered the same pills at his home. Bieber later stated that he simply took whatever pills his mom gave him. Justin had previously opened up about his struggles with anxiety in the past, and it turned out that his mother was regularly giving him anti-anxiety drugs to keep him going. The further he went, the bigger the paycheck became, and those around him, including his own family, were desperate to keep the money flowing. His father wasn't any better. Just hours after his release from the DUI case, Justin was seen partying and drinking alcohol with his father, Jeremy Bieber. And if there's one fact about Jeremy, it's that he had abandoned Justin and his mother in the early years of Justin's life, only to return after Justin had become famous. At just 19 years old, Justin desperately needed guidance, but the people who were supposed to protect him were more focused on their own selfish desires. In fact, Scooter Braun, his manager, ended up giving him more guidance than his own parents. Scooter later revealed that he was even advised to drop Justin entirely. Some of the biggest people in the industry, people invested in Justin's career, told me, "It's over. Focus on something else. That kid is done." But despite the chaos, Scooter still believed in him. However, 2014 was undoubtedly Justin's worst year. Feuds with paparazzi, multiple accidents, an alleged robbery, federal agents questioning him for hours, and raiding his house. The list went on and on. When Justin re-emerged in 2015, he came back as a changed man, determined to reshape his public perception. His first step was issuing a public apology for his past inappropriate behavior, acknowledging the mistakes he had made over the years.
I was afraid of what people are thinking about me right now. It's been a minute since I've been on a public appearance, and I didn't want to come off arrogant or conceited, or basically how I've been acting the past year.
This marked the beginning of his transition from a teen pop star to an adult pop sensation. As part of this transformation, he participated in the Comedy Central roast, where celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Kevin Hart, and Pete Davidson took turns roasting him. The event was strategic. Comedy Central had a more mature audience, which aligned well with Justin's vision during this period. To solidify his comeback, Justin dropped 2 singles, "What Do You Mean" and "Sorry," as a prelude to the release of his 4th studio album, Purpose. Both tracks were massive hits, with "What Do You Mean" spending weeks at the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Later that year, his highly anticipated album, Purpose, was released in November. Purpose was a monumental shift, as Justin wanted to transition his music to a new audience. He related this period to Justin Timberlake's career shift when he left NSYNC to pursue a solo career aimed at a more mature audience, stating, "Look at Justin Timberlake. He was in NSYNC, and of course, they had an amazing sound, but it was young. It was for teenagers." Justin hinted that on his previous projects, he wasn't allowed to make the music he truly wanted, explaining that when he was young, people were telling him what to record and giving him songs. But on that album, he had finally found his purpose again, hence the title. Despite dropping on the same day as One Direction, he was able to beat them, debuting at the #1 spot on the Billboard 200 chart, also managing to sell 649,000 equivalent album units in the first week. Along with the album, Justin announced a tour that would start in March of the following year. At the time, he appeared to be a changed and more mature man, having seemingly left behind the troubles that had followed him for years. The Purpose Tour kicked off on March 9, 2016 in Seattle. It was a crucial part of his transformation, marking his full transition from a teenage sensation to an adult pop star. It was evident that his fan base had grown and evolved with him, expanding into an older demographic. However, the high-pitched screams during his performances proved that there were still plenty of young, die-hard believers in the crowd. And as the tour progressed, those die-hard fans became a frustration, leading to him storming off stage during a performance in Manchester after fans kept screaming as he wanted to have a small talk with them.
But the screaming during these breaks has gotta stop. Please and thank you.
He later came back and finished the show. However, his tour remained successful despite the few missteps he was taking along the way. He was selling thousands and thousands of tickets in massive venues. However, as Justin was hammering show after show, something unexpectedly odd happened.
Justin Bieber has officially canceled the final leg of his Purpose World Tour. Now, the announcement was made on his website early Monday explaining, "Due to unforeseen circumstances, Justin Bieber will cancel the remainder of the Purpose World Tour concerts."
At the time, Justin had toured for almost 2 years, performing at over 150 shows, which involved constant movements between continents, and that was so exhausting. Therefore, the immediate reason was to probably get some good rest. Also, the paparazzi and the media weren't sitting too well with him as they followed him, always hoping to get something from him. Although it was clear that Justin was exhausted, there were deeper factors contributing to his energy depletion. He stated, "I got really depressed on tour. I haven't talked about this, and I'm still processing so much stuff that I haven't talked about. I was lonely. I needed some time." While on tour, his 2 major addictions caught up with him, one being his addiction to drugs, which was well known at that point, but there was another struggle lurking beneath the surface. Being young, famous, and adored by millions, particularly by female fans, had fueled Justin's sex addiction. "I found myself doing things that I was so ashamed of, being super promiscuous and stuff, and I think I used Xanax because I was so ashamed. My mom always said to treat women with respect. For me, that was always in my head while I was doing it, so I could never enjoy it. Put a screen between me and what I was doing. It got pretty dark. I think there were times when my security was coming in late at night to check my pulse and see if I was still breathing." Unfortunately, Justin didn't realize that at that time he had reached the peak of his career. The years that followed saw him struggling, as each new project seemed to only contribute to his downward spiral. In the following weeks, Justin was spotted spending time with Pastor Carl Lentz, who had become a guiding force in his spiritual recovery. He was frequently seen visiting the Hillsong Church in New York City, where Lentz preached. However, this wasn't the first time the New York-based pastor had stepped in to help Justin. Back in 2014, during one of Justin's lowest points, Lentz had encouraged him to move into his home in New Jersey for an informal detox. For weeks, they played basketball, hockey, and soccer, giving Justin a break from the chaos of his life. He even interned at Hillsong Church, using faith as an anchor to regain control. So Justin knew exactly where to run to when things spiraled out of control. Despite these efforts, old habits were hard to shake. In the months that followed, he rekindled his on and off relationship with Selena Gomez, and for a brief period, the two even attended church together. However, Selena, who had also experienced fame from a young age, was battling similar demons. Their relationship wasn't exactly helping Justin's recovery. During their time together, the couple was spotted in some of Los Angeles' most dangerous spots, places infamous for drug deals and prescription med abuse, and it was alleged that they had went there to make some purchases. This suggested just how severe Justin's addiction had become and how desperate he was to maintain a steady supply.
No? Alright. Hey, I got Justin Bieber here at the Swami though. Right here in my hood, homie. MS gang. Nice seeing you, bro. Have a good one. I just saw Bieber. I just seen Bieber. Leave it to Bieber. That's crazy. That's just crazy.
The couple stayed together for a few months before calling it quits for good in March 2018. 3 months later, Justin rekindled his relationship with Hailey Baldwin, a romance that quickly escalated later, leading to marriage. By 2019, it was 1.5 years since Justin took a break from music in order to improve his mental health. However, the results that were expressed in the public were nowhere close to getting better. In February 2019, he did an interview with Vogue, where the interviewer couldn't help but notice his ongoing struggles with depression and anxiety. The article described, he says just what comes to mind. No filters. I like you. You're stressing me out, bro. He produces long, anxious exhalations. He gets the giggles. He apologizes if he's making me nervous. It's been so hard for me to trust people, he explains. I've struggled with the feeling that people are using me or aren't really there for me, and that writers are looking to get something out of me and then use it against me. One of the big things for me is trusting myself. I've made some bad decisions personally and in relationships. Those mistakes have affected my confidence in my judgment. It's been difficult for me even to trust Haley. He turns to her. We've been working through stuff, and it's great, right? Meanwhile, his manager had hinted at new music earlier in the year, sparking a wave of anticipation from fans. But instead of confirming a comeback, Justin took it to Instagram to announce that he would be taking an extended break from music. Citing health issues and a desire to focus on his marriage and family, he also gave fans an update on his next album. He stated, I am now very focused on repairing some of the deep-rooted issues that I have, as most of us have, so that I don't fall apart. He added, music is very important to me, but nothing comes before my family and my health. I will come with a kick-ass album ASAP. However, just a month later, Justin made a surprise appearance at Ariana Grande's Coachella set, fueling excitement among fans. He even teased an upcoming album.
I came out here, I had no idea I was gonna be on this stage tonight. Absolutely no idea. I wore this fly outfit not knowing that I was gonna be on stage. So anyways, it's my first time on stage in like 2 years. So I had to get my groove back, I had to get my swag back, you know what I'm saying? And by the way, album coming soon.
Justin spent almost the entire year of 2019 teasing the release of his 5th studio album, which never came out until February of 2020. But before that, he dropped the album's lead single, Yummy, in the early days of 2020, marking his solo return since 2015. Justin's new music was terrible. The song had repetitive lyrics reminiscent of Baby, a track he did with Ludacris when he was still a teenager. Despite the mixed reception, it resonated well with the TikTok audience, with thousands of fans jumping on the Yummy challenge. At the time, TikTok had established itself as a powerful platform for promoting music, helping the song gain traction, but not quite as much as his recent projects. It ultimately failed to surpass Roddy Ricch's The Box for the #1 spot, despite Justin's desperate attempts to encourage fans to stream his song on low volume while sleeping to boost its numbers. Justin's health was a major factor in the delay of his 5th studio album. He was overwhelmed with fear and anxiety, and even when he returned to the media, his anxiety issues seemed to have worsened. Take, for instance, his movements in this clip when he was hosted by Ellen a few weeks before the album's release.
My friend, this is your 27th time, and this is your second time for my birthday show. And they talk about how your dopamine levels, like what that does to a person's brain at such a young age or any age, when you're surrounded by that kind of noise and excitement for so long. I mean, did you realize that was, I mean, looking back on it, what it was doing to you?
You know,
He titled the album Changes, reflecting how much he had evolved since taking a hiatus, and that a lot had happened in those years, as he had spent considerable time battling addiction. Yet, despite the extended break, his music seemed to have only worsened. Fans criticized Yummy, stating it did not meet the standards of the music he was putting out 5 years earlier. Justin Bieber finally dropped his much-anticipated album, Changes, on Valentine's Day. However, the album never lived up to expectations. Fans were quick to point out how underwhelming it was, a significant setback from his last project, Purpose, released in 2015.
This new Justin Bieber album, it's not good. Canadian social media singing sensation turned world-famous music icon Justin Bieber, he is back with a new record.
When it came to sales, Changes managed to sell 231,000 units in its first week, a massive decline from the 649,000 album units Purpose had sold in its debut week. This was the first major sign of his career's decline. In an interview with Apple Music the day after his album release, Justin announced a 45-date stadium tour in support of Changes. However, things took a turn when fans were later notified that some stadiums were being swapped for arenas, citing unforeseen circumstances. But fans were not buying it, aka tickets were not selling. That's a funny way to spell low ticket sales. Eventually, the tour was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and had to be postponed, leaving many believers disappointed as they had waited years to see their favorite artist perform again. He kicked off the new year, 2021, with a single titled Anyone, and later announced the release of his sixth studio album, Justice, describing it as his effort to bring justice to what he called a broken planet. He stated, "In creating this album, my goal is to make music that will provide comfort, to make songs that people can relate to and connect to, so they feel less alone. I know that I cannot simply solve injustice by making music, but I do know that if we all do our part by using our gifts to serve this planet and each other, we are that much closer to being united," he added. Justice was released in March of 2021. The album also featured other chart-topping hits, such as Peaches and Ghost. It was, by all accounts, an upgrade, earning him his 8th #1 album on the Billboard 200 charts. Despite Justice receiving significantly better reviews in terms of quality compared to Changes, its first-week sales were even lower, selling just 154,000 copies. This was another worrying sign for Justin's career, which seemed to be on a continued decline despite the improved music. His 2020 tour, which had been pushed to 2021 due to the pandemic, was postponed once again for the same reason. This time, it was moved to 2022, with an additional 7 arena venues. Although these tour delays were justifiable, they inevitably impacted ticket sales in the long run. Fans tend to lose interest when they are forced to wait indefinitely. In February 2022, after finally commencing his long-awaited tour in San Diego on the 18th, his next show, scheduled for the 20th in Las Vegas, had to be postponed after a member of his team testing positive for COVID-19. Fortunately, he got back on the road, and the tour progressed smoothly until June, when the pop star was diagnosed with a rare neurological syndrome that caused partial facial paralysis.
Hey everyone, Justin here. I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. Obviously, as you can probably see from my face, this syndrome called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and it is from this virus that attacks the nerve in my ear and my facial nerves and has caused my face to have paralysis. As you can see, this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move.
Due to this, all shows from June until the end of July were postponed indefinitely as Justin's health became the top priority. He eventually resumed the tour, performing at the Lucca Summer Festival in Italy on July 31st. Although the syndrome had visibly affected Justin's health, fans remained hopeful that things wouldn't get any worse and were thrilled to see him back on tour. However, just 2 months after his return, he announced that he needed another break following his performance in Brazil. He stated, "After getting off stage, the exhaustion overtook me, and I realized that I need to make my health the priority right now. So I'm going to take a break from touring for the time being. I'm going to be okay, but I need time to rest and get better. I've been so proud to bring this show and our message of justice to the world." Justin ended up canceling 12 more shows that were scheduled for the following weeks. But just as fans hoped for his return, he came back with even more disappointing news. Bieber shocked fans when he announced that the tour had actually ended with Rock in Rio, his last performance in Brazil 1 month earlier. However, confusion arose when the Post later stated, "With today's announcement, these remaining dates are officially postponed." Despite the earlier claim that the tour had ended, the statement continued, "The potential new dates will be subject to venue and date availability." Since the tour was originally scheduled to run through March 2023, this gave fans hope that it might still resume at some point. Many held on to their tickets, convinced they would eventually get to see Justin perform. They had no idea they were only setting themselves up for another heartbreak. In February of the following year, 2023, Justin returned with an update, and it wasn't what fans had been expecting. his ex-tour page officially announced that the tour was officially canceled and ticket holders were urged to seek refunds from their points of purchase. At this point, Justin had finally accepted that his health simply wouldn't allow him to continue touring, despite his previous strong efforts and persistence since the tour was first announced 3 years ago. Years of being overworked at a young age, combined with constant substance abuse, had finally caught up with him. The toll on his mental and physical health was undeniable, leading to exhaustion after exhaustion. Sadly, this meant he might never be able to embark on a stadium tour as huge as the Purpose World Tour he did in 2016. In the following months, Justin remained relatively inactive in the music industry. Whenever he was seen in public, he was usually with his wife, either hanging out or helping her promote her products. Despite his struggles, Justin made another surprise appearance at Coachella in April 2024, performing Essence alongside WizKid and Thames. This marked his second performance since canceling the tour, with the first being back in February when he performed at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto following the NHL All-Star Player Draft. Later that year, he flew to India to perform at the pre-wedding gala for Mukesh Ambani's son. He had to chase that bag. Reports claimed Justin was paid a staggering $10 million for his performance at the event. Apart from that, Justin remained musically absent. His year was instead filled with rumors surrounding his marriage, both before and after welcoming his first child, who was born in August of that year. As of 2025, Justin is still absent from the music scene, having not released any new material since his Justice album in 2021. In January, he teased a snippet of a new song in a captionless Instagram post, sparking fan speculation that new music was on the way. However, with his recent public appearance in New York, where fans quickly noticed how much his health had deteriorated, their hopes of a comeback might be far from reality. Many theories have circulated about the reasons behind his absence. Was it due to the recent allegations connecting him to Diddy? Could it be the ongoing marital struggles with Hailey? Or was it the long-term effects of Ramsay Hunt syndrome? Some even speculated that he had relapsed into heavy substance use. But at this point, these are all just rumors. One thing is certain, Justin's #1 priority right now is his health and overall well-being. However, he hasn't made any statements about retiring from the industry. So if you're still a believer, keep hanging on. There's still a chance you might get new music in the future.